This is David Wildman and welcome to Btekt. Today, as part of our videos for Samsung Week, we have a camera comparison for you between the HTC U12 Plus and the Samsung Galaxy S9 Plus. Two very highly regarded and highly capable flagships. First, I want to give a shout out to our sponsors Direct Mobiles. As a part of Samsung Week, Direct Mobiles have a Samsung Galaxy A8 to give away in our competition. Check the description below and you'll find a link to the competition there. Also, if you're after an S9, head to Direct Mobile's website and enter Btekt 10 at the checkout. This will reduce any upfront cost to zero. Head over to the Direct Mobile's website and check it out. But anyway, let's get on with the show. This time I'm comparing two of the major players in today's smartphone game, the mighty Samsung Galaxy S9 Plus and HTC's new flagship, the U12 Plus. When it comes to smartphone cameras, these two really do rank among the very best out there. So this is going to be a straightforward comparison, but before I even show you any pictures, I'm going to take a mark off the S9 Plus. Well, it's the position of the fingerprint scanner. I know that Samsung have changed it from last year, making it less likely for you to smudge the camera lens. But the truth is, putting it underneath doesn't really make that much difference. You're still going to smudge the camera lens. Maybe it's just me, I have quite long fingers. But to me, the camera lens falls more naturally under my finger than the fingerprint scanner does. On the HTC, this is not a problem. The fingerprint scanner is in just the right place, and I have to actually stretch to reach the camera lens. Now this might seem like a small problem that shouldn't really affect the performance of the camera, but the truth is, if 50% of the pictures that you take are taken with a dirty lens, then it's affecting the performance of the camera. As you can see here, there's far less detail in the S9, and it's only really because the lens is smudged, so keep a cleaning cloth handy. Anyway, I want to start with the front cameras. They both have 8 megapixel sensors, although the HTC has two identical 8 megapixel shooters, both with HDR and an f2.0 lens. The Samsung's 8 megapixel sensor also has HDR and is backed up by an f1.7 lens. The two lenses on the HTC means you will get better portrait shots. The HTC is able to blur out the background from a further distance away too. The Samsung does have a higher video resolution at 1440p compared to the 1080p of the U12 Plus. But as you can see here, the Samsung does a better job of exposing the subject, which is what you want really. The colours do seem a bit washed out compared to the HTC, but this is a tricky scene for any camera. And I really enjoy using both of these cameras. They're both fantastic, showing lots of detail and great colour reproduction. I've always thought that Samsung delivers great colours, but I think the HTC does even better in this area. The S9 Plus comes equipped with dual 12 megapixel cameras, one wide angle and one telephoto. The wide angle has an equivalent view of 26mm and is equipped with Samsung's variable aperture technology, which can switch the aperture of the lens between f1.5 and f2.4. The second camera has a full frame equivalent focal length of 52mm with an f2.4 lens and optical image stabilization. With the U12 Plus, you get a 12 megapixel main camera that's backed up with a 16 megapixel telephoto with an f2.6 lens, phase detection and laser autofocus, and optical image stabilization. The 16 megapixel sensor on the HTC actually has an effective megapixel count of 12 megapixels, so on paper these two are very close. And as you can see from the pictures, in reality they're pretty close too. Like I said before, I think the U12 has got slightly better colours, and the photos do seem to come out crisper. HDR is very impressive on both of these handsets, although the Samsung does seem to do a better job here, especially with stitching together the exposures, as you can see from this shot. See the ghosting around the branches, which isn't present in exactly the same shot from the Samsung. But I do love the HDR shots from both of these phones. This is where dual lens smartphones have an advantage over DSLRs. It's easy for a modern smartphone camera to give you a great picture in good light, but when the lights get low, that's what really sorts the men from the boys. Again, both of these phones are excellent performers in low light, but the U12 Plus seems to take it up a notch, delivering fantastic clarity and very low noise. The pictures from the Samsung are excellent, but again, the colours seem to be slightly more washed out than the HTC, although noise is controlled just as well. But the sharper, more vivid pictures from the HTC definitely give it one up on the S9 Plus here. Both the 1080p and the 4K video are stabilised very well on both these handsets. The Samsung can shoot both 1080 and 4K video up to 60 frames per second. The HTC can match those specs, but can shoot 1080p up to 240 frames per second. The 4K 60 frames per second footage on both of these phones looks outstanding, although I have noticed a few drop frames from the HTC and not really noticed any at all from the Samsung. Dynamic range is slightly better on the HTC, And again, the picture seems to be more vivid, the Samsung's being slightly washed out. Although you would never notice it, the Samsung still renders colours beautifully. And finally, let's take a look at the slow motion video. With this one, I think the Samsung's got it in the bag, being that it shoots 960 frames per second super slow motion, but at 720p resolution. The HTC doesn't shoot 960 frames per second, but it does shoot at 240 frames per second and in 1080p, and for as long as you like. The Samsung is limited to just 0.2 of a second of recording time at that frame rate, which translates to about 6 seconds of slow motion video time. If you've seen many of my videos or follow me on Instagram or Twitter, you know that I love a bit of super slow motion. So I'm a little bit disappointed that the super high frame rate is not in the HTC. But the 240 frames per second looks amazing from the HTC. But could they have pushed it to 480 frames per second? Maybe, but if you look closely here, even the 240 frames per second drops frames sometimes, so maybe not. So to conclude, I think the HTC takes it. As amazing as the S9 Plus's camera is, the HTC U12 Plus's camera is even better. But really guys, both of these cameras put a lot of DSLRs to shame. They're both great. Let me know in the comments below which one you think's best. So that's it from me. Don't forget to enter our competition to win a Samsung Galaxy A8. Leave a like or a dislike, and I'll see you next time.